From the low desert in beautiful Tempe, Arizona, this is Politics and the Past with Robert Ferguson, brought to you by the Center for American Institutions. Joining me again after a couple of weeks later, I have Farzan and Amin, two gentlemen who have been advocating and asking desperate for freedom back home in Iran. And a couple of weeks ago when we chatted, there were hopes that maybe something spectacular might happen. And here we are. It's Monday, March the 2nd, and something spectacular has happened. Um, Farzan, I'll start with you. Farzan, first of all, before we came on the air, or before I pressed record, you mentioned a little bit about the difficulties of getting in touch with people in Iran. Maybe you want to touch a little bit on that, but also just give us a sense of how you're feeling and how you're doing right now.
Thank you, Rob, for having us again. I really appreciate it. Before I answer your question, uh, I want to say my deepest condolences go to the families of three American service members who lost their lives. Thank you for your service. We appreciate your service. And it is very interesting. I read this somewhere, and it is not me, but it is very poetic. The 47th president of the United States ended 47 years of Islamic Republic. I think that is very poetic. So, speaking of feelings, obviously we are happy, joyful. We had an awesome celebration yesterday in Scottsdale. There were news stations, and we talked to them, and people were dancing. People were, bringing cookies, candies, and pastries, and things like that, and everyone were happy. In terms of getting in touch with my families and friends in Iran, the internet are again shut down. Um, we know that Islamic Republic does that every time there is a huge, protest or something going on. They cut the internet. I did send a message to my some of my family members. Messages didn't even deliver. I was able to receive a message from my best friend in Shiraz, but he replied he replies to me every 24 hours with one sentence because he says that he needs to juggle through many VPNs and things, anti-filter as we call it, and things like that to be able to send like one simple message. So long story short, I don't have any news from my family. I'm just hopeful that they are safe.
Yeah. I mean, were you able to go to that celebration in Scottsdale yesterday?
Yeah, sure. Okay, first of all, thank you for having us today. It is a historic day. First, I want to thank President Trump. I don't have enough words to show my gratitude to him. Ali Khamenei was a very evil man. He had the blood of many Americans and Iranians on his hand. To be honest, when the news confirmed he was gone, something amazing happened. Iranians all over the world, from Tehran to London to LA, Iranian went into streets. They were dancing and celebrating. It, it feels like we wake up from a 47-year nightmare. For the first time in my life, I can see a bright future for my country. This is not just a political change, to be honest. It is a new life for millions of people in the world, in Iran, in Middle East. Let me uh, tell you a story. I live in Iran for 27 years. I want your listeners to understand what that means. In Iran, in schools, the regime doesn't just teach math biology. Every morning, the Basij militia came to our schools. They made us stand in lines and shout, "This to America, this to Israel." They tried to rise us with hate. They tried to make us enemy of Western country. But they totally failed. They completely failed. I remember I was 7 or 6 years old and having to burn American flags in the schoolyard. It felt so wrong because my friend and I just wanted to be kid like any other kids in US in Western country. We didn't hate you, American people. We were just prisoner of the Islamists who hate you. And right now, as Farzan pointed out, it is a very difficult moment with us, for us. We don't have any connection with our families in Iran, but we are still hopeful and we are still happy to see this regime, this brutal regime collapse. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I can't imagine the first of all the thrill when it was announced that Khamenei was dead. Few have deserved death more than what he received, and not only him, but a whole echelon of leadership, maybe two echelons of leadership in a single strike. From the people who as Amin mentioned, the Iranian people were stuck in an Islamist prison and taught to hate the United States and Israel, and it was an Israeli strike that knocked out Khamenei and that top echelon. Um, it's pretty unbelievable. And again, I also can't imagine how you're feeling, both the thrill, but this uncertainty for loved ones. And I know you guys are feeling this, and every Iranian and every Iranian who's managed to get out of Iran feels that way. Let me ask about, you said you were both at that celebration yesterday. Are you able to describe that celebration and like what's the conversation like going on between Iranians in the diaspora?
Yeah, we did. The conversation was obviously everyone's happy, right? I posted a video of the celebration on my Instagram channel of people dancing and cookies and pastries everywhere. And they are obviously we are happy. We are like waking up. Something we were always telling is that imagine. So before they killed Khamenei, we were always telling each other, imagine one day we wake up and they are not here. And yesterday was that one day. We woke up and Khamenei was not there. So I mean, I'm getting goosebumps as I'm telling this, but it is very important for us and people hugging each other, crying, um, and then talking about, when can we go back to Iran? When can we visit Iran again? When can we visit our families again? So very hopeful and forward thinking conversation we have. We're like, I know in the realm of politics, things are probably not moving that fast, but us, we were like thinking 3 years ahead or 5 years ahead as of yesterday. And I cannot describe it. And sometimes I had this conversation with my wife that I was always thinking when I hear that Khamenei is dead, I would be like jumping or screaming or things like that. But for me, it was like a shock. Like again, it's a lot to comprehend. And I think it was an easy. The only thing I can say, I think, dropping a bomb on his head was a very easy way for him to go out. He tortured millions of people, killed thousands of Americans, and one drop of a bomb. I think that was the easiest way he could go out. But nevertheless, I'm glad he's dead.
Hmm. Yeah, he could have had a Ceausescu type moment, and maybe there would have been some catharsis in that. But alas, he is dead. I mean, can you tell us a little bit about some of the conversations you've been having with local Iranians in the last 48 hours?
Yeah, yeah. Actually, right now we are in such dilemma. We are so happy about what we are seeing in Iran right now. The regime is collapsing very fast, faster than our imaging. As I heard, the Khamenei just killed in 30 seconds of the starting this war. It is so happy because I was living in Iran for 25 years. Every day where we wake up, we saw these faces, the brutal faces. They chanting this to America, this to Western, this to Europe, this to Saudi Arabia, this to everywhere. But right now we are so happy, but we are still in dilemma. We are worried because what we saw in Venezuela, they took Maduro, but still their regime is still is there. This is such point we should be worried. We should overthrow this regime totally in total, not just a part of the regime. We are still happy, and I think also the U.S. people should be happy. Today I just chat with my one of my colleagues. I told him some people in US say this is not our war. But I wanted to tell them, look at the history. The regime has been attacking Americans for almost 5 decades. Remember in 79, they took your diplomats as hostages. In 83, they group attacked the US embassy in Beirut, Lebanon. In 96, they bombed the US Army in Saudi Arabia. Remember, they roadside bombs in Iraq and Afghanistan. The regime didn't just hurt Iranian people, they hurt families in America too. Every dollar they got was used to build more hate and more weapons. By stopping them now, we are preventing a much bigger war in the future. Please remember that this is not just this regime is not just our enemy. It is also the Western country enemy. You
Yeah.
should also be happy.
I think Chancellor Merz of Germany yesterday or this morning may in an address said, well, he's nervous about many things here. He knows that it's a just war and that he only regrets. He just wishes that Germany had the capacity to do more than it does, and that only the United States and Israel really have the capacity to do this. As single nations, NATO is a different story, but as single nations, only the United States and Israel have the capacity to do what's been done.
And Rob, let me tell you, this is not just war. This is the hybrid war. Even right now, the U.S. drop bombs on the army regimes. Also, the people of the Iran, they try to do some revolution from the ground of the Iran. So I call it is hybrid. It's a war plus revolution.
Yeah. And just speaking to your point that the United States has really been at war with Iran off and on since 1979, There was a book written by David Christ. I can't remember when it came out. I think it was 2008, 2009, called The Twilight War. And the subtitle is The Covert War with Iran, right? And that in fact, the United States, ever since the Islamic Revolution, has it not in a declared war, but has been in a covert war. And so this is just,
War.
yeah,
So we've been in the proxy war since the inception of the Islamic Revolution. So let's not, kid ourselves, right? So we've been in the war. President Trump just ripped the band-aids off
yeah.
and finished the job. So, and the other one thing that Amin mentioned, and it's kind of concerning for the Iranian community and myself, is that President Trump yesterday he announced that he has three options for the leadership of Iran, in the future leadership of Iran. He did not announce any names. However, he used an example, Venezuela, as an example, as a good and successful intervention. So what happened in Venezuela is not something we Iranians would like, because they removed Maduro and they basically put the his vice president or his VP to power. We don't like that. Like anyone around, or to your point, an echelon or two echelon or maybe three echelons around Khamenei, or anybody who's been a commander or served in IRGC, they are not with the people. We already have somebody that people accepted him as the leader, Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi. We talked about him yesterday. So we already have a leader, and he said many times that he is here for the transition period. So we already have him. Everyone is united behind him. People, calling his name in Iran. So we already have him. We have heard, and I know this is President Trump's strategy when it comes to these foreign policies. He says lots of things. He tries to a lot of things. He is never going to directly telling us. No, no president would do that. But using Venezuela as a successful, operation and successful transition is concerning. So, and everybody knows that, yes, we do have somebody that Iranians inside and outside of Iran trust him, and we want him to be leading the transition period.
Yeah, let me add something to Farzan's speech. I want my fellow Americans to understand one thing. Iran is not Iraq. Iran is not Afghanistan. Iran is not Venezuela. We don't need national building from outside. Iran is already a strong national with 1,000 years of history. We already, we are highly educated people. We have a rich country. We have a leader, Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi. By hitting the regime military power, it lets Iranian people go back to the streets in coming weeks and finish the job. And after that, we can, create our country safer and safer again. I can say this.
I mean, I think my sense, and this is my sense, and actually, before I go any further, I want to say, I'm a Canadian. I have a stake in this war because I honestly believe in freedom, and I believe in individual liberty, and I recognize that Iran has been a threat to that. Canadians have died, and not ju- and I mean, and I don't just have a stake because Canadians have died, but I have a stake because I believe in liberalism and individual freedom, and I view Iran as an enemy to that. However, I'm in no danger of being drafted. I'm in no danger of having to fight this war. I don't have friends and family in Iran. I have friends that are in the diaspora, but I don't have friends and family that are in Iran. And so I have, while I am broadly sympathetic to this action, I'm risking nothing by being so. You gentlemen are.
Yeah.
You have friends and family back home. Even if you're in no danger of being, drafted into the American military and being sent to fight the IRGC anywhere, You've got friends and family back home. So it costs you a lot more to be sympathetic and supportive of this than it costs me. Um, but I'm just gonna say, so before I'm couching I'm saying that so that I can say this. The
Yeah, it's
United
very
States,
rough.
yeah, the United States and Israel here, along with members of the Iranian diaspora who've supported this and asked for this, and people like Pahlavi. Um, Ultimately, whether this goes Venezuela's direction or this achieves everything that you want it to achieve will depend on the Iranian people. If the Iranian people rise up, that forces Trump's hand. He can't Delphi Rodriguez this. But if the Iranian people do not rise up, if for whatever reason they don't, I have a lot of confidence that they will, but if they don't, then Trump will find an apparatchik 5, 6, 7 echelons down and he'll put them in power.
But I think we already rise up. Last month they kill us. They kill our people. 36,000 of our people killed by
That's
the
why I
Russian.
have confidence that it'll happen again, but it needs to happen again.
Yeah, and right, and exactly yesterday, a lot of Iranian came to the street and dancing. Even they know they were shot with the military of the country. Even they are under the bomb right now. They came to the street and chanting and dancing for this big achievement.
Yeah, they paid a huge price so far. So they paid a huge price. So they're not gonna sit home and let anybody else decide who, yes, let's just, install this guy from IRGC as a leader. No, they're not going to sit home. They were under fire. There were people and police shooting at them. They were on the street calling for their leader. And now that Khamenei is dead, they have more courage. It's like a new blood in their veins. They can feel it. They will on the street. And one thing that we are on the topic of war, I want to mention I want to, speak to the Stop the War crowd. This crowd of the Stop the War. We have here Representative Yasaman Ansari, former President Kamala Harris, Ilhan Omar, all of these. I mean, thankfully, it's a very short list of them. You never asked Khamenei to stop his war against Iranian people. Not even when they shot them on the street. You never asked them for respect human rights when they were killing women like Mahsa Amini for not properly wearing hijab. You never did that. So spare us with your sudden outrage about the war. Nobody believes you. Khamenei shot, hanged, and tortured thousands whose only crime was demanding freedom. Yet the left calls his death unprovoked attack. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. This is shameful. And we talked about this. Amin mentioned that, for example, Obama was silent, during Mahsa Amini. He is a Nobel Peace Prize winner, and he was silent. He was nowhere to be found. Oprah, I have so much respect for her. She achieved so much in life. She is a women activist, but she didn't say anything for months after Mahsa Amini. So yeah, people see the hypocrisy. People see that.
Yeah, my sense is there's sort of two groups of people that two groups of let's say good faith people that are anti-war because there's bad faith people too.
Mm.
But let's just there's sort of two groups of prominent good faith people, and one of them I think are people who just believe that they have some procedural opposition to the war, whether it's over the Constitution, and I don't wanna say that those are not important things. I mean, I would have preferred this to go to Congress and get a congressional, but, um, there are people who have "Oh, we haven't seen a plan yet. Oh, we don't know." So that's one level of opposition. It's like, that's procedural. And then, um, the other one are people who spent the last 15 or 20 years basically saying that the Iranian regime can be dealt with like any other country, that they're, they aren't uniquely evil. We can work with them. These are the people that wanted the JCPOA,
Yeah.
um, and advocated, forcefully for it. And if if everything that they said was true, then Khomeiни's death was unprovoked.
Yes.
Yeah.
It has to be for their worldview to be correct.
Yes. JCPOA was a great example. So Iranians tried reform. That didn't work. US and the West tried to negotiate. They came to JCPOA. Okay, let's see what happened. After JCPOA, and this has reported by CNN, Fox News, Wall Street Journal, as a part of the deal, Obama sent an airplane full of gold and cash to Islamic Republic, and he claimed this was like the Islamic Republic, Iran's money, and we're just as part of the deal, we're returning this back. Biden did the same thing. $6 billion, excuse me, $6 billion with capital B. What happened after Biden did that? October 7 happened. This money, they never went to the pocket of Iranian people. It went straight to Hamas, Hezbollah, Houthis, all these proxy terror group in the region. So we tried that. It didn't work. So if you are telling us, oh, war is bad. No, I'm not saying war is good. I don't like war. I don't like it. But okay, war is bad. JCPOA bad, didn't work. Reform didn't work. How might people be free? How could they overthrow the government?
And they've uprising, and the popular uprising didn't work either.
The popular uprising didn't work either. We have like many uprisings we mentioned last time. We had Green Movement, Mahsa Amini. They keep killing people, and then the horrific tales that coming out of their prison right now. There are thousands of people. One of the stories I heard that they put everybody, basically strip them naked, close eyes. They moved them into the very small room that they could smell blood, and they were like blood on the floor. And the person who was like telling us and say, "Hey, I don't know if it was blood or the red color to scare us, but it smelled like blood." They chained people to the wall. And when I say people, they were like, according to him, they were like 13 and 14-year-old underage kids in that room. They chained them to the wall, and men came in naked, and they said, "You want freedom? Here's freedom," and start raping them. So how do you expect this regime to basically cooperate with the Iranian people, cooperate with the international community? This regime should not hold a knife, let alone atomic bomb. In the US, in the West, people are very scared of North Korea. But these guys were crazier than North Korea because they go to bed thinking that they need to erase Israel from the map. They're waking up, they are thinking that they need to destroy America. This is their bread and butter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. You can negotiate with anyone in the world, with dictator, with communist, but you cannot negotiate with Islamists. Do you know? Your listener can just Google it. They always tell us we want to destroy White House and create mosque.
Yeah.
They always tell this one. Right now, I can see our Democrat friends. They say, the Trump. This is the Trump war, and nuclear is just an excuse. No country enrich uranium to 60% in deep underground for peaceful. They want a nuclear bomb to hold the world hostage. And I'm pretty sure if they reach the atomic bomb, they would use it.
They will. They will use it. They will use it 100%. I don't see North Korea use it or Russia use it, but 100%. If they have it today, they'll use it tomorrow.
Yeah, they are fanatic Islamists. They don't believe to anything. Let me tell you right now, They, do you know, they send the prisoners to besiege military centers to create, do you know, the human sheet. When they send the prisoner to the centers, to besiege centers, so the U.S., do you know, never, do you know, drop bomb on the besiege centers because there are a lot of prison and, do you know, the innocent people inside these centers. They are not human. They are even not animal. You cannot negotiate with, you know, Islamist, radical Islamist and terrorist people.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think there's a, you know, and the story that's making the rounds, and I have no reason to doubt the basic accuracy of it, is the Iranian or is the girls' school
Yeah.
that was hit by.
This is
Yeah.
your podcast, but let me ask one question. I
Yeah.
have one question for you. Have you ever seen any government in the world, in the history, you know, transfer prisoners from prison to the centers to create human shit? Have you ever heard it?
I mean, Hamas.
Yeah.
Just Hamas. Yes, Hamas is same with the Iranian regime.
Then Hamas is like one of their minions.
Hmm. No, I mean, you know, there's examples similar. You know, if there's examples similar to this, they don't come up offhand. Um, you know, there's no doubt that the Iranian regime is brutally cruel, viciously cruel. I don't know whether, you know, whether they're the most cruel in human history is, you know, kind of a separate question. I'm not really probably worth engaging in. And that there's also no doubt that I have some theories as to how this happened. Some of it, and I'm not gonna air them because there's too much speculation involved, but just on how certain elite institutions ended up, I don't even think knowingly, kind of unknowingly championing Iran's causes. And I don't think it was just that Khamenei shuttled money to them or, you know, secretly. I think it's bigger than that and weirder than that. But it's a yeah, I mean, I'm gonna bring up the girls' school here for a second because I think it fits your point. I mean, an unbelievable tragedy. I don't know how it happened, but it's an unbelievable tragedy. I don't, you know, there's rumors, you know, the Iranians are certainly claiming that it was an Israeli or an American strike that targeted the school. Very unlikely, in my opinion. But it is 200 feet from an IRGC base.
Well, the
The school.
IRGC news channel, Rob, the IRGC news channel announced that it was their rocket.
But that's what I was just gonna say. I've also heard some rumors that it was the Iranian rocket that hit.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, there are a lot of clip and videos about it.
Yeah. And I mean, and this is amazingly similar to the news story that the New York Times during the during the Gaza war.
Oh, the hospital.
Right, and it turned out that it wasn't an Israeli strike, it was a Hamas rocket.
Yeah, see, you know, when we are telling people that, oh yeah, you know, Hamas, Hezbollah, they're all, you know, getting money and training and equipment and everything from Islamic Republic, people are like, no, I mean, they might, you know, challenge us. But just look at that. Everything's happening. There are lots of similarities because Islamic Republic is training them, and now he's using those tactics here. It just like I don't mean, for the lack of the better word, fascinating to see on a plain sight, and you should be either stupid or naive to deny that. And like for over, you know, for the Democrats to use this time, to use this war to just score against President Trump, I don't think this is not aligned with the human rights values. This is not aligned with the American value. I think the only Democrats stood up with the Iranian people was Representative Fetterman, and he constantly, you know, standing up for the right things.
Yeah, I mean, just to say one thing on maybe on behalf of the Democrats, and is that you know Trump's going to dunk on the Democrats throughout all of this too, and you know, so he's going to use his soapbox to make it political. And so, on the one hand, I expect a certain degree of partisan response from the Democrats, but your point is well taken that it's a that if you're going to use this school, for instance, this situation is horrible tragedy. However it came out to be, it's a horrible tragedy. Um, in order to delegitimize the war, well, what about all the young girls that have been murdered by this regime?
Exactly. Yeah.
What about all, and of the and or the girls who are trying to pursue education that were getting gassed by this regime?
Yeah.
And so it's a again horrible tragedy, and I mean, I guess I hope that it was an Iranian rocket that hit the school. It doesn't really functionally matter, but I hope it was. Um, but again, it's kind of irrelevant to the overall concept, and all it does show is that the Iranians are using human shields because 200 feet away from their legitimate military target is a girls' school.
Yeah. And well, you shouldn't build your military bases near schools. And they do that all the time. They do that here. They do that. Hamas does that. Hezbollah does that. They all do that. I mean, it's the
Yeah.
same playbook. Um, and
Because they know the West is decent.
yes, they know that. They know. I mean, if it was the other way around, Islamic Republic would not hesitate to bomb your school. They would not hesitate to do that. But they know Israel and the US, they won't do that. So they try to kill people and then blame US. They try to do that and say, oh, see, we didn't do anything. They're killing our school kids and children and things like that. But let's just say for a moment this was an Israeli rocket or US. If we put everything, the number of Iranians who've been killed by the Islamic Republic surpasses the number of Iranians killed by any other foreign nations.
Agree. Okay. I mean, I think that the I agree that this is a justified conflict. There's some again procedural questions that I think are not that are still open, but you gentlemen have laid the case out very well. What assuming, and there is a great deal of assumption here because lots of things have to go right. And so I'm always a little nervous to say, okay, well, what next? Well, there's a whole lot that has to happen. Um, but I mean, you have the old flag
Yeah,
in your background.
yeah.
Are the, you know, are the Iranian people united behind Pahlavi's vision of a post-Islamic revolution? Iran.
Yeah. Before, the internet cutting, I just spoke with a lot of my friends inside Iran. Right now, I can say all of them, majority of them, are united behind Prince Pahlavi, outside and inside Iran. Let me be clear. My family, they are Muslim. They are traditional. I have a traditional family. Even my traditional family right now, they are united behind Pahlavi. And one thing I should add to previous conversation. I was study at Adab High School in Isfahan. Just 10 minutes beside our, high school. There was, or still maybe there is, a military base just 10 minutes, 10 meter away of the high school. American people, please don't buy propaganda. They, put all the military bases beside the high school, beside even kindergarten, and beside hospitals. They probably shot with their own rocket to these hospital and schools. And after that, they will spray this propaganda to the world. This is the US and Israel. Don't buy that. And please remember, right now we have one leader and all the Iranian people united behind him. We are not Venezuela. We are not Iraq. We are a united nation.
Okay, you're a united nation. But I also know that the MEK exists. And they have a different vision for a post-revolutionary Iran. Is their vision matter? Or is it just a very small group that is maybe well-funded, but doesn't really matter to the Iranian people?
It doesn't matter to the Iranian people. Prince Pahlavi said something that, hey, something really interesting that I want to lead the transition, and then I put the ballot box here. And then he asked, are you afraid of the results that will come out of the ballot box? I'm not. So I think these MEK, MEek, they are, I don't think, I'm certain. And if you go and just pick a random Iranian, you probably hear the same thing. They are Islamist cult. Their leader is nowhere to be found. Masoud Rajavi is their leader. Nobody's seen him in 40 years. You see his wife running the show, but where is he? He's nowhere to be found. Maybe dead. Who knows? They are well funded. My guess is actually Islamic Republic is funding them. That's my guess. They want to, create an alternative. They all, the totalitarian regimes always looking for an enemy. This is how they survive. So they have US, they have MiG, they have Israel. They create enemies to survive. So that's one my theory. They are small. They are really, really old. If you go and look at their gatherings and things, they are old, old, old. This revolution is running by young generations, and young generations, they do not like that. Do you know why they do not like that? Because after the Islamic Revolution, it's a very long story, but long story short, they sided with Saddam Hussein during the Iran and Iraq war, and they killed many Iranians. Everybody hates them. Nobody wants them. And I'm pretty sure if we put a ballot box today, they will not get 1%. Not even 1%. So yeah, they can do whatever they want. They have lots of money. And I'm surprised. Maybe the IRS or whatever countries they are based in, their tax department, they should look into them. Where do they get all these monies?
Good question. That's a good question. Amin?
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree with Farzan. If you right now put a bullet in Iran, I'm pretty sure they never reach 1%. They never reach. Because they don't have any plan, to be honest. Their plan is identical with the IRGC. A few years ago, they was listed in US, terrorist list. So we are still know them as a terrorist. I don't want to tag any, anything to them, but they were in US terrorist list just a few years ago. So it show us they have some potential to be terrorists. And right now we have just one alternative in all the, they so-called, the alternative. Right now we have just one alternative. Prince Reza Pahlavi. We should walk with him through this nightmare. And after that, the bullet will, will decide which system coming to Europe. If you are, if you think you have, a lot of supporters, okay, let's decide. Let people of Iran decide after this nightmare. As I, right now, I'm completely believe we will reach right now. We will, after the regime collapse, we will reach Reza Pahlavi. I'm pretty sure. But let people of Iran decide this point. I can see a lot of people, a lot of Iranian people near us. I can say that 99% of Iranian right now just say Reza Pahlavi.
And he is somebody that, whether or not you're like in for monarchy or, kind of, constitutional monarchy or, republic or whatever system you want, at this point, he is the one that at least we all know that he's not connected with Ayatollahs, he's not connected with IRGC, he's not like Meek, he's not another version of the, the Islamic government. So that's why. And then he has been talking about, democracy. He's a prince, he's a crown prince, but he's always talking about democracy. If you listen to his speech in English and in Farsi, and he speaks like three languages, and when he talks, he says, "Hey," I mean, in his a few speeches a few weeks ago, he was like, "Don't even call me King Reza Pahlavi. Let people decide." See, so who's gonna, if you were, one of us, if this was happening like to your, homeland, Canada or US, if somebody was that, and then you have other options, IRGC and Meek, who was like killing Iranians and sided by Saddam Hussein, obviously you would be siding with him, letting him transition to the power, and then on the election day, I have one vote, Amin has one vote, and then we decide. That is democracy.
Yeah. Yeah. I certainly um see him, at least in my limited window into Iran and the views of the Iranian people. There's definitely has a support has coalesced around him. Um, and I don't see any other option personally. Not that I have any particular expertise in the area, but do you think, assuming again, and we're doing a great deal of assumption here and projecting forward, um, if Iran, if this regime falls, I have no doubt that if a solid government can be put into place, one that protects individual freedoms, is broadly supportive of pluralism, and is engaged with the Western, engages with the West, that Iran's natural resource wealth, its strategic position in the world, the incredibly well educated citizenry, that it will be a very prosperous place very quickly. What room in that society do you guys think? And I know you're not speaking on behalf of anybody but yourselves, but I want your own personal opinions here, but how you feel. What what happens to those who did support the regime? Maybe not the butchers and the murderers, but those who did support the regime.
So it's something that you need to consider. If they don't have blood on their hands, that's one story, right? They never killed anybody, they never, tortured anybody. Okay, for whatever reason, maybe economic reason, maybe because of the money, they were working with the regime. They are sorry. They want to reverse the course, and they work with the new government. That's one story. However, if they had blood on their hands, if they, for example, even spying for the regime, spying on the neighborhood, for the regime, those, we want to have a fair trial for them. We want to take them to court, and then we want to see justice. That's what we want. We are not like them. We're not seeking any violence or anything. But if they have blood on their hands, they cannot just say, sorry, yeah, I did it for money. No, we have to have justice. We need, those families, these 40,000 families, they are waiting for justice. They need to see that. So that's my personal opinion. However, I mean, that's well above my pay grade. But I'm sure, whoever takes control, they have their plan in place.
Rob, this is very good question. Great question. We are not looking for revenge. We are looking for justice. Yesterday, Prince Reza told the army, put your arm, put your weapon on the ground. If you still try to killing people, so this is another story after that. But we are not looking for revenge. When the regime, after regime falls, we want to hold fair and public, trace for those who commit crimes against people, against humanity. We want the people, the world, to see the crimes. They want to people see the crimes during they were in the power. But we are not looking for revenge. If you right now put your weapon down, you are safe. You have the word of Trump. You have the word of Prince Reza. If you right now put your weapon down, you are safe. But after that, it's another story because you kill people. You cannot, provide immunity to people to killer. You cannot. No one can, provide immunity to killer. If you don't have any blood on your hands, please put down your weapon. You are safe. You are completely safe. We promise you, you are completely safe after that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't doubt they are safe in your hands, gentlemen. These things are dynamic and kinetic, and I must admit I worry about this situation. This is the stuff I really worry about. Um, because your calls for that you want justice and not revenge. I believe are incredibly sincere, and I agree with you. I want justice too. But justice in theory and justice in practice are very different things. And trying to even public trials and tribunals are difficult. And trying to, deal with trying to discern those who are truly zealots or those who are truly committed, reprehensible individuals that need to be brought to justice, and those who, for one reason or another, were also in the prison. And, you know, they were in the prison and, maybe they did some unsavory things. I mean, there's a degree that is never, you can never, um, but you, in the previous podcast, you mentioned the importance of the guys who were to the regime, of the shopkeepers in the bazaar in Tehran. These were guys that just wanted their business to run for the most part, I expect.
Yeah, and like in the next government, in the next phase, we still need those guys to run the bazaar, to run the
Yep.
economy. I mean, it's not like you cannot eliminate anybody you don't like.
But they were probably spying on their customers.
It probably did. Yeah. If you can't prove it, then we can't. Innocent until proven guilty. I sincerely believe that. But yeah, there are some that after Khamenei is dead, and lots of top commander is dead. If you are still having your weapons on you and shooting at people, you cannot come back from that and just say, "Hey, I'm sorry. I was just a soldier. I didn't have any, other choices." No, no, we cannot believe that.
I think you're absolutely right. I mean, I think that the way that this is gonna shake out and the way it usually shakes out is, how long did you fight for them for?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
And there's a moment, and if it wasn't yesterday, then it's today, maybe sunrise tomorrow, where if you're still fighting for the regime,
Yeah,
it won't matter much how slight your crimes were.
Yeah, exactly.
exactly.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, I wanna end on a happier note than that. You went down to some deep, dark tunnels of my crazy brain, so I'm sorry about that. Gents, what message do you want out there for, I expect the people of Iran will not be able to listen to this message, right now, but maybe in posterity. What would you like the people in Iran to know?
I want them to know that we are here to be their voice. We are with them. Our heart and mind and soul are with them. We cannot wait any more longer to go back, to visit Iran, to visit our homeland, visit our hometown, visit my homies. I cannot wait. So I will do whatever in my power to see that day, to see the freedom for Iran. I've been living here in the US for 15 years. I've seen what freedom can give you, how you can, prosper. And I want that for my people back home.
And from my side to my fellow Iranians, last month in Desert podcast, I told you to believe in support of President Trump. That support is here right now. And for now, please be patient and stay at home while strikes continue. But soon, it will be time we take back to the streets and put an end to this 47 years nightmare. We have a leader right now, Crown Reza Pahlavi. We must trust him. Iran is a beautiful country with a smart and hardworking people, and we want to be part of the modern world again. With the leadership of Prince Reza, we can rebuild our economy, we can rebuild our country, and be friend to the world. Just be patient. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, gentlemen. And I got to tell you, I really look forward to, first of all, seeing you guys in person, hopefully soon, and maybe at a party in Scottsdale when the regime fully falls. And and more importantly, I really do look forward to visiting Tehran one day because I would love to go.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Rob. Thanks again for having us.
Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.
You too. Bye. There you go. Thanks, man.